Hello and welcome to the Perth Blue Baggers pod. My name is Louis, your host.
And I'm Marty, special comments.
Little kick straight to Wiedering. Wiedering the all or nothing to Hollands. Hollands is going to make it outside. He's got another opportunity on here. The kick wasn't great to Doherty. Doherty falls back in line. Takes a bounce. 55 metres out. Who's going to get this? Up they fly. Mark taken. Aikens runs, plays on. Has he kicked the goal? He has. Aikens has started the game. He wins all the time. He doesn't miss. The Blues are back in front by a point.
So we'll be doing, the layout is that we'll be doing a review of the round 8 game against Collingwood. Then we'll be doing reviewing the notable performances of that match. And then we'll be previewing the round 9 game against the D's. So let's get started. So, Carlton lost in a somewhat... Well, it was very depressing, really. With a last-minute goal from Nick Dacos, that costed us the match. But we'll learn from it, and there will be some key takeaways. So let's get into that.
Well, it's always disappointing to lose the arch enemy, and so that was very frustrating. Right up until 1 minute to go, the scores were level, and they won by just the solitary goal. But I think probably the scoreline might have flattered us somewhat. When you think about it, they had 6 extra scoring shots, and it was probably inaccuracy from Collingwood that kept us in the game. Overall, our first quarter was pretty good, 5 goals to 3, but we got thoroughly outplayed in the second quarter. Went into the main break, 11 points down. We came back really well in the third quarter. I often reckon our third quarter's probably been our best quarter for much of the year. Quarter. Yep, that's when we fire up, and a couple of our guys really stood up well. And in the end, unfortunately, kicked 4 goals to 3 and a few behinds and snuck over the line. But probably on balance, if you look at the overarching stats, they deserve to win. They had 64 to 38 inside 50s, for instance.
Yeah.
And this stat, which really disappointed me, Collingwood had 88 to our 54 tackles, which just shows that our defensive pressure probably wasn't strong enough.
Indeed.
So, it's always disappointing to lose to the old enemy, but in a way, I think it's probably a sign of where we're at. We're not playing shocking football, but we are a few yards off the pace against the top teams, and so Geelong's knocked us off now, and so is Collingwood, and we'll have to be at an absolute best next week.
Indeed. So, we'll get into the notable performances of the match. So we'll be got our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 votes.
Yeah, look, I had Jacob Wiedering for my 5. He was superb again, completely shut down my check. Anytime they went forward, he was there. He's just so reliable and dependable, really. Against Geelong, I thought he was probably our best player. He was the one defender that really stood up well. And again, on the weekend, I thought he was great. I think if you're not a Colton fan, you often miss how good Wiedering plays. And when we don't have him, we really, really miss out. He's for mine, he's our best defender.
He's our best and fairest for a reason, so...
Yeah, and he was excellent again. He adds structure to the back line. And there's not a lot more he could have done on the weekend.
Yep.
4-4, I had Harry Mackay. Harry did kick 4 goals, 1. And that's pretty good going on a fairly low-scoring match. He's the highest goal scorer in for the game. Particularly good early. He was up and about a fair bit early and set us up well. And I just really like how he's much more accurate kick than he was last year, and so he's making his opportunities count. He's taken 7 marks, 3 tackles. So he's pinch hits in the ruck now and again. I think he offers a lot, and he was pretty good on the weekend.
Yep, love him.
For 3, I had Nick Newman. Nick Newman's always dependable. He's one of our most dependable players week in, week out. I was really quite surprised by how many touches. He had 32 touches, 26 kicks, 6 tackles, 10 marks. He was, I think it might have been top amongst metres gained as well for our team. He had a pretty solid all-round game. And look, our defence was clearly better than it was the previous week against Geelong. So that part of our game picked up. We conceded some scores late, which is disappointing, but I don't think I'd be blaming Nick Newman for that. Pretty good game overall.
Yep.
Matt Owie, so look, your job as a small forward is to be opportunistic and kick goals when you get the chance to do it. And he kicked 3 goals on the weekend. That's a pretty good return for a small forward. Laid a couple of tackles. I thought he was pretty lively most of the game. And I think he was probably in our best few players. So I think I've given him two votes. Look, you might have said, why didn't any of our midfield crew this time get a vote? Look, I think they were pretty good, but I think they probably broke even against a fairly strong Collingwood midfield. And I wouldn't say that they broke the game open like they did against GWS, where really I think it was, your Walsh and Cripps that day that really won us the match. They were good, they were solid, particularly Sam Walsh was solid again on the weekend. But I'm giving my last vote to Blake Acres. 32 touches. He was pretty consistent the whole way through. He was particularly strong in the first half, got a lot of touches early, was up and about. One thing I love about Blake Acres' game is he runs and runs and runs. And Acres and Cottrell, they help you get an extra number around the ball just by how much they run to get to the contest.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, he's always lively, often up and about, knows how to kick big goals at different times. Mm-hmm. So he's one of our favourite players, and he gets the 1 vote for me.
Yep. So we'll go into the preview of the D's match.
Just before we do, one underrated player.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a bit of a shout out to Jordan Boyd. Jordan Boyd is a very consistent player, I reckon. Always pretty honest, pretty reliable. And he played on Bobby Hill, and apart from 1 goal early in the last quarter, I don't think Bobby Hill did a lot, and that's a testament to Boyd. You can play defence and be loose sometimes and try and create opportunities, which is all great. But you need guys who are honest and keep their opponent accountable, and Boyd's one of those guys. Less flashy, but good at getting the job done.
Indeed. So, the round 9 game versus D's. Very critical match.
Really important match for us, this one. Look, they're very good. That backline's very good. May and Lever, in particular, are 2 of the best in the business. It's going to be an amazing contest because we've got 2 of the best key forwards in the business. So it's Curnow and Mackay versus May and Lever. Watch that space. Look, I think if we don't move the ball quickly, we're in trouble because they set up really, really well. They choke you. They're hard to score against. The only hope we've got to score is to move that ball fast and get our key forwards 1 out against those guys and have them lead into space. Harry's particularly sharp at leading into space. Charlie's very hard to hold one-on-one. Late in the... that was the time when we exposed them late in the game in that magnificent semi-final win. You've got to move the ball fast and don't give them time to run back. Their midfield's strong. Petrarca, I think, is always dangerous. He might go forward. I think he'll be one to watch when they go forward. I think that's... Oliver's always, he's a great player. They've got a lot of good players, so you can't take them for granted. They'll be a really good test for us. I think we're probably going to need more scoring from our midfielders and smalls.
Yeah.
We've relied very heavily on Mackay and Curnow, and if they've got 2 really good backs on them, others are going to have to stand up. So I'd like to see guys like Walsh become goal kickers on the weekend. I think that would make a difference. Someone like Cotters pops up and kicks a couple of goals, Acres, etc. That could make a really big difference. Look, the other one to watch is, of course, whether we get McGovern back, because it's no coincidence that we've found everything a tougher going since McGovern and Saad went down. They're both really important players in our back line. They're the guys that provide the run and drive. And have them both out at the same time has really hurt us. We've probably moved the ball a bit slow, and some of our field kicking has dropped a bit since those guys have been out. So we'd really like to see McGovern back.
Very, very much so. So, predictions.
Oh, look, I think Blues by 2 goals.
Ha. I reckon it'll be a very close one again. Beat them by 4 points.
You're much
Just
more
like
conservative than me, but I think it'll be a good contest, and look forward to it. Look, we were hoping that we'd probably split those 5 tough games 3 and 2. We're 1 and 2 of the 5 tough games in a row. We need to at least split these last 2, and we've got Sydney the following week. So one of Melbourne and Sydney we really want to be winning. It'd be good if we can pinch both, but. We've knocked off Melbourne the last couple of times we've played them, so it should be a great contest.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So that's where we'll finish with you now. Thank you for listening to the first episode of the Perth Blue Baggers pod, and we'll be doing this every week until the season ends, I guess.
And calm the Blues.
Up the Baggers.